World Combat Sports. Hello everyone, I had to jump on here once again and just touch bases on what's been going around about this Eddie Hearns and the 2-fight deal with Anthony Joshua at Wembley Stadium and everything like that's breaking news, whatever. So let's jump right back into it. Okay, as you all know, we've seen the tweets and everything, and one of those tweets I want to mention first and foremost. I want to salute the fans, the members, the ones who support World Combat Sports, and I do encourage you to follow me on all social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Eddie Hearns, he sent out a tweet and said, basically, if Joshua fight in the UK, it's more like 40 or 50 million. Okay. And, of course, AJ's the A side of it all. That ain't going anywhere. And really, from what we've seen, right, it's really not a big issue with him, really being the A side, because he has the other straps. He's unified champion. We understand that, boxing fans. We get it. But check this out, though. When it comes down to you being the A side and you're not able to compromise just out of respect for the opponent, and that opponent being Deontay Wilder, then there's serious issues going on here. Not to even, just touch lightly on the integrity, the lack of integrity aspect of it. It just comes down to, where's the respect for two world champions to actually come to an agreement after one has been basically bending over backwards, compromising everything else that goes along with trying to make a bout, and you would not give him the time or the respect that he deserved in making this bout happen. You basically made it a carnival theme park in the media, just with the back and forth finger pointing and the verbal sparring. It just doesn't make any sense. But guess what? I want to touch bases with some of the articles that's out here. I'm going to quote some of the articles. Okay, fight fans. Just a little quote here and there about what's going on. So, the news broke early AM because that's the way Eddie Hearns liked to do it. He said the unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua will return to Wembley Stadium for his next 2 fights. Joshua, 28, has signed a 2-fight deal to compete at the National Stadium on 22 September and 13 April. The WBA, IBF, and WBO champion beat Vladimir Klitschko there in April 2017, but has since fought twice at Cardiff Principality Stadium. We all know that. And we know the claim to fame, so to speak, was defeating a superannuated Vladimir Klitschko, one who was past his prime, coming off a loss to Tyson Fury. We get it. Okay, but that stamp, that little staple, is a bit frayed. You're using it up too much. It wasn't like he was at top form. He was in his prime when he was actually reigning atop the heavyweight division. Let's be clear on this. You're kind of using it above and beyond, man. It's worn out. And moving on, it said the opportunity to fight in such an iconic stadium is normally a once-in-a-career opportunity, so to be given a chance to fight there again is amazing. Now, he's fought there twice already. He fought another fighter, I believe his name was Matt Legg, there in Wembley before. So he has basically touched gloves there before in Wembley. They go on to say his opponent on 22 September will be confirmed next week, which us boxing fans who keep our ear to the media scrum is Alexander Povetkin, a double repeat offender of PEDs, and he's a 38-year-old fighter, which to me and many others, he's going to go in there and try to brawl with Joshua and might find himself laying out looking at the lights in the early half of the bout. It's highly possible if you give Joshua that position of just standing in the pocket, just throwing punches like he did with Carlos Takam, then he might get knocked out. Because Joshua, he has some decent power. He just don't have cardio worth a damn, but he has some decent power. Then they go on to say that will be his WBA mandatory challenger, with the view to facing American WBC world champion Deontay Wilder for all 4 belts. Now you see how they always kind of insert Deontay Wilder's name in there just to keep those fans who might tune in periodically, just piques their interest and all this other stuff that goes on with the mind games. You know, maybe so. Deontay Wilder can happen. Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua can go down in 2019, you know, in April. It's possible. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. Moving on, they say Joshua thanks fans who attended his dates in Welsh capital where he scored a stoppage win over Carlos Takam in October and added the WBC belt to his collection by outpointing Joseph Parker in March. Let's talk about that. Carlos Takam, those who watched the bout know very well it was stopped prematurely in the 10th round. Okay, yeah, he threw a set of punches, okay, but maybe one, and I would be reaching with two actually landed. But Carlos Takam, hey, give the guy credit. He deserved to finish the fight on his feet. I'm talking about the final bell because that's where it was going. He had no problem with Anthony Joshua. Yeah, he was dropped in what I believe the 5th round from a right hook. He was dropped and he was automatically back up, made the count, and carried on. But the ref intervened and stopped that fight prematurely. Anyone who wants to argue otherwise did not watch the fight. They just going off, you know, to make themselves sound good. And then we all know what happened with Joseph Parker. You know, it was pretty much one of those third man in the ring. Every time you turn around when these two fighters close distance and engaged, even remotely coming close to infighting, he broke them up. He kept that distance. He basically received his orders. He was going to make sure he execute them accordingly. Made sure he kept those two apart to make sure that these future bouts remain the way they should be. And people, they have their eyes on that. They're zooming into that particular behavior with these referees over there. And Joseph Parker, man, he didn't do enough to keep his belt. It seemed like he was more satisfied with going 12 rounds with Joshua, because Joshua before the end he had stopped all his opponents. So it just seems like he was there to fight, but he wasn't able to take risk with Joshua. Joshua never really hurt him in the entire fight. Okay, moving on. They say Wembley gives his promoters around 90,000 seats to sell, with London. Also, they say, and Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearns hopes to surpass the 90,000 for the April fight, which would be better for the British record. The British, get this right, the British record for a boxing match held jointly by the Joshua Klitschko bout. Okay. And then they talk about how Hearns tweeted the capacity for Anthony Joshua's next fight on 22nd September will be at 90,000. You know, they love embedding 90,000. You know, those aren't the numbers that are going to get you into the Hall of Fame. Let's be clear. Those numbers are not. It sounds good for those who are over in that area, but it's only so many people that have the finances to fly over there to watch that bout. So you can keep on saying 90,000 all you want, but you know, 90,000 in the same area all the time, okay, it gets a little old, especially when they're not going to look at that when it comes time for consideration for the Hall of Fame. And right now, you're not anywhere remotely close to that. Also, they go on to say we are expecting the 13th April capacity to be extended to over 100,000. So they're saying if Deontay Wilder is in fact the next opponent for Anthony Joshua, they will somehow extend it to 100,000 to get that little extra change. I mean, it just seems so freaking desperate just to make this guy out to say, oh, he's selling out Wembley, he's selling out. That's the claim to fame, not who he's fighting, not his performances. Do you ever get that with the Joshua fans, how they always speak about the money aspect of it, but they rarely speak about his performances like he's in there just dominating his opposition? You don't hear it. All you hear is he's selling out 90,000. He sold out 90,000. And a lot of these people really have no idea of how many times he's actually visited that arena. They don't. All they think is Vladimir Klitschko, Anthony Joshua, 2017. That's it. That's all they know. The resumes of these two guys, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, there isn't a huge disparity at all in their resume, in their competition. People, when it comes to Joshua, though, they seem to just bloviate it and take it to a whole nother level of exaggeration. Come on. So let's move on. They say images from these AJ events make our country the envy of the boxing world, and long may it continue. Not really. If you look at what we have over here in the US, we're not envying because you have pyrotechnics. You have light shows. You have levitating stages, and you have those fighters in Anthony Joshua's that's able to basically be elevated for a better view from the crowd with his white robe on, shadow boxing. And then once he's lowered, he continues to the ring and touches hands and greet the fans and everything, trying to emulate as if he's some type of royalty or whatever. But this is boxing. Over here in the US, we've seen plenty of laser shows. We've seen plenty of pyrotechnics. We have plenty of circuses around here. You know what I'm saying? We have plenty of people that will give you a show on the street if you want to see an act like that. But, just to say we're envious, maybe, yeah, it'd be cool to see a fight up in that particular venue. Cool. But moving on. That's enough of that. They talk about the 2-fight deal, people. They say it's so interesting. We now know that if Joshua gets through the likely meeting with Povetkin, the venue for any fight with Wilder in April is set in stone. Good. It's about time something is set in stone, because what was set in stone was answering that $50 million bag that Joshua threw out there, and then you fumble it, and then you act like, well, we need to put some other stipulations in there as a deterrent, so this bout will never happen. And that's what happened. You want to give him a contract with no rematch. You want him to sign a contract and you don't have when the bout is going to take place. You want to lowball the man. You want to basically deplete his mental stability head into a fight of that magnitude. And that's the only way you're trying to do. You're trying to act like you wrote the book on the art of war, playing mind games and all that other crap that's going on. They say it never hurts to take one sticking point out of the negotiation process, which has proven painfully drawn out and complicated. Okay, it's going to be complicated because they make it complicated. How about compromising? How about understanding both sides of the spectrum in this particular bout is due to make a very healthy, lucrative sum of a pay period. Both are seeking the benefit off this. They go on to say those linked to the Principality Stadium may be frustrated to miss out, but the fact that the venue has a roof means it's likely to come back as a winner option. They're just breaking it down and all the fine details, the fine minute details, people. Let me move on. They say in the latest tactical move on negotiations to make boxing's world heavyweight title unification, Hearns has put pressure. He's put pressure on the WBC title holder to sign the $15 million contract offer to fight Joshua and name the date and venue. Okay, no one really knows if the venue, Wembley, is going to be assigned to Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. That's just a date and a contract that, once again, we have Anthony Joshua just putting his ink on everything over there. And really, y'all have to understand, he's not making as much money as you think he is out of these deals. He is just the face that's drawing and getting the fans to gravitate. If Hearns can sit up here and exacerbate it enough to the public eye, then if their pupils are growing, he's going to keep on staying close and make sure Anthony Joshua looks bigger than life. That's what he's doing. We go on to say that they mentioned that Wilder, who's undefeated, 40-0, 39 knockouts, 32 years old, right? He was offered $20 million deal for him to have an interim fight and then face Joshua. Man, whatever. it never really buoyed enough on the surface to the point where it wasn't floating all around out of reach. You know what I'm saying? It would have been good if he had something solid to anchor that down, something that with substance that he can say, okay, this is something that is legitimate, that I can benefit from going in there, risking my life in the heavyweight division, defending my title, and providing for my family. They also mentioned talks collapsed last week after Hearns declared Joshua will fight Povetkin. That was already in the plan. Those of you that know this, Eddie Hearns said early on that he had a 3-fight plan, which include, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, and Deontay Wilder. He just was basically tagging some of the fans along in the media and having them running around chasing, just scurrying around for any little nitbits, crumbs for this bout with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua to happen. And then he did everything in his power to derail it and then point the finger. It goes on to say, next, and he blamed Wilder and his team for taking too long to return the signed contract. And we all know from those who actually took notes on how the contract was actually requested, when Hearns actually sent the contract, he asked that Team Wilder, Lou DiBella, and Shelly Finkel to basically have the contract back in a certain amount of days. Once they received the contract, they called them being the team of Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearns, to discuss some details, and they refused to return or correspond, provide any feedback and communication. So how could that be Deontay Wilder's fault? Yeah. So if you have the contract in hand, and I hear all these people that's very loosely orientated and marginally connected to what's truly important about this deal. They're saying that Deontay Wilder didn't sign the contract like to force him to put his name on anything. It's absolutely absurd on every level, because they know very well they wouldn't put themselves in a position if their family depended on it, and if they was in the same position of notoriety as a world champion. They know they wouldn't do that. So of course they say, Wilder and his team refused to sign the contract, which we know that when the contract was sent, it was sent late. It was days late, I believe 7 days late. And then once they got it, they tried to correspond and reach out and make liaison with Eddie Hearns, and they refused to return the call. Typical procrastinative type ulterior motives there. You feel me? I know you do. Moving on, they say, but for the next year, Hearn is expecting a bigger crowd. We're talking about, once again, hyping this Deontay Wilder fight up. We are expecting the April 13 capacity to be extended to over 100,000, Hearn tweeted Thursday. Having been watched by an aggregated crowd of 250,000 in his last 3 fights. They make it seem so glorious, an aggregated crowd. Aggregated means the combination, okay? You join all the numbers of ticket sales that happen, and they want to say 250,000. They're really saying in this last paragraph, the narrative is Joshua will be well on his way to attracting 1 million fans at the gate in a year's time. They're more focused on how many people that they can lay claim to that Joshua actually was a part of. Okay, we're not talking about Hearns going in there selling third-party tickets, purchasing a bulk load of the tickets himself and then selling them to third parties or whatever the case may be. They just making it seem like that Joshua is the grand poobah who's out here allowing people to gravitate to his fights. Moving on, they say as for a purse split with Wilder, Hearn is seeking 70-30 in Joshua's favor. And if Wilder is not agreeable, Joshua and Hearn have other options for April 13th. Okay, you want to fight in Wembley. Who else is gonna allow that attention, send up those SOS signals, spark those type of light shows that you're looking for for those fans to come gravitate to Wembley. Who else besides Deontay Wilder is going to give you that attraction? Let me know. I'm gonna wait. Just give me some names, initials. I don't need no full name. Give me initials. Who will it be? Who? Dillian Whyte. He got Joseph Parker coming up. He got to get past him first. Who else is gonna be? What, Tyson Fury? No matter what the Gypsy King do on this return, okay? And I'm pulling for the Gypsy King. You know what I'm saying? But Gypsy King versus Anthony Joshua will not do the same, equal, anywhere close to the numbers that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua would make. Period. They can say whatever they want. They go on to say an all-English clash between Joshua old rival Dillian Whyte or against former WBA, IBF, WBO world champion Tyson Fury will both ensure a capacity crowd, if not as much global interest as a fight versus Wilder. Man, come on. I know this is what they're pulling for. Watch this, people. Listen to what they're inserting in here already. They're just putting the flag up there so you can kind of not be too much disappointed if it all goes down. Because listen, they have Tyson Fury in the pocket. Dillian Whyte is a pundit anyway, a puppet. He's going to do whatever they say, but people are not going to pay their big money to come see Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. But now we have the previous champion who vacated the titles and former world champion Tyson Fury. So that's their ace in the hole. But guess what? He's signed to Frank Warren, and Frank Warren is not going to play nice with Eddie Hearns. You can guarantee that. He's not playing nice. They don't like each other. Very contentious. A lot of animus between these two. Regardless of what position they're in, it's not going to be a nice go. So they just want to put that out there for you boxing fans to say, we have somebody like Tyson Fury that's out there in case Wilder, isn't available, or, to have those other boxing fans gravitate from the U.S. over here to see a potential matchup between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. No, we ain't looking for that. We want to see one fight to determine one face, one name, one champ. That's all we want. That's all we want. You can say what you want, how you want, when you want. Okay? But what we want is that one bout without you trying to, put all those deterrents in there and point the finger and say it's 100% Deontay Wilder. Then moving on, they say Whyte is ranked number 1 with the WBC. Yeah. We all know what happened with that. How Dillian Whyte was ranked number 1 or whatever. And he was scheduled for Luis Ortiz, but somehow, some way, Luis Ortiz is ducked once again. He's ducked once again. They came out with this teaser, dangling the carrot. Dillian Whyte's going to fight Luis Ortiz. Everybody was happy. And then in the AM, once again, the early AM, it came out Dillian Whyte was facing Joseph Parker, which people are going to tune in for that bout. It's going to do okay numbers, but that's not what we really want to see. We would have rather wanted to see Dillian Whyte and Luis Ortiz, because King Kong, he is the truth. Legitimate southpaw who gave Deontay Wilder early round stifling with his jab, and he performed well before he was finished in the 10th round. Moving on. They say Whyte ranked number 1 with the WBC and number 2 with the WBO, fights former WBO champion Joseph Parker on July 28th. Okay, that's the fight date. And then they go on to say Whyte was stopped by Joshua in December 2015. Seeing that fight with, speaking of Dillian Whyte being stopped by Joseph Parker, then he turns around and campaigned for the same fighter who stopped him and trying to put himself in there between Deontay Wilder. No one wants to see you versus Deontay Wilder. Wilder doesn't want to see you. So for you to campaign as a puppet that you were, and reaching out to the people, making yourself look utter complete fool on the mic and in front of the cameras, showed me that you're not willing and able to fight for what you truly want in boxing, and that is to basically go for the straps, man. Become a champion, to go out here and defeat the man. You rather campaign with him and believe that's going to get you another source of an avenue en route to stepping in the ring with him again. Sometimes you have to take full advantage of the shot that you get. And you had your shot, Dillian Whyte. And it's going to take you a minute before you get back up there, even if talks fail again with Deontay Wilder. In closing with this, they say Fury last month fought for the first time since outpointing Klitschko for 3 belts in November 2015. They say Hearn has played his cards and it is over to Wilder now. It's not over to Wilder. Absolutely not in the court of Wilder, because Wilder has stepped up. Listen to me, U.S. fans. This is what I'm telling you. I want you to listen clear. You can put your mic up to the speakers. I want you to hear this. U.S. fans need to support their U.S. heavyweight champion more than what you've been doing. I don't know the reason why you're not standing behind your heavyweight champion, but it's no reason for you to overlook what his courage, his bravery, his ferociousness, durability, his tenaciousness, his will and desire to go in there and represent the U.S. and trying to become the unified heavyweight champion. We need to support him much more than what's being seen out here. We're not talking about light precipitation. We're talking about a full-blown storm. We're talking about when Mexico scored that goal and it registered as an earthquake. We're talking about that type of support. What's wrong with that? We need to get behind this champ, man. He's earned it. He's going out there doing everything right. And for those of you to sit up here all the time and forget that he has a family. The man has 6 kids, and the first thing you want to do is say, "No, he should capitulate, surrender, bow down, kowtow, forehead to ground, be passive, accept any offer." And then he accepted any offer. You be the same ones on social media network the next day saying, well, he shouldn't have took it. But your comments were, he should take the fight. Why is he procrastinating? He's not procrastinating. He's actually doing, his due diligence to make the bout happen. He's giving more than 100%, overly exerting himself to make this compromise, to bring this bout to fruition. And then it comes down to him being accused as if he's the one that's basically the one that's holding up, delaying negotiation talks, which isn't true. We know that. But to the American people, we have to do better with the WBC World Heavyweight Champion Deontay Wilder support. We need to do better as a collective community. I'm not going to give you the population over here, but you know what it is. It's more than enough that be somehow, some way associated to gravitating to this fighter and knowing what he's doing for the sport and what he's trying to accomplish and solidify his legacy, to go out here and keep putting opponents face down or on their back in the lights, closing down, knocking them out, and putting on the show. So that's all I got with this. I'm holding y'all accountable. Salute to all the other media outlets that's out there, talking about this, talking about the sport of boxing. This is Scotty White, and I enjoy talking about combat sports, and I try to change lanes as often as possible, from boxing to MMA and so forth. But primarily, the combat sport at the topic at hand is boxing today, and we got to do a bit better in putting that halo over Deontay Wilder's head as heavyweight champion and get him notarized as much as any other neighboring fighter. It is our responsibility to make that happen. Absolutely, it is our responsibility, and we should hold one another accountable to going out here supporting as a collective, putting our money in and getting these bodies in the seats to show support for this man, so he can start, being a little bit more visible on these media outlets, these networks, TV shows, and everything else. Why not? Why do our fighters have to go through such a long, drawn out extent just to get any type of exposure? That's crazy. So that concludes, my segment today. Once again, I thank you all. Salute to those who support. Much appreciated. Please pass the word, World Combat Sports. If you like what you're hearing and everything, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All social media outlets. We're talking about Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, World Combat Sports. Until then, you know what it is. World Combat Sports.